And we are live.
Let's go.
Ayo, it's time to go. Yeah. You know what it is. Get into it. Don't act like you don't already know the name. Let's go. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. What? You heard me. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. What? I said you heard me. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. What? I said you heard me. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. Now it's on.
I love that theme song. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense.
Plus more, plus a lot more. We've got a lot. We've got some topics from last week, too, that we need to touch upon. So if you're joining us new to the show, yes, we are a mother and son. You can pretty much tell by looking at us. This is a show mostly about spirituality, how we overcome our daily little struggles, how we find our peace and contentment, and a little bit about our history as mother and son.
Our history, our relationship. But before, let's do some business first. What sounds better, Nathan? What happens when mother and son make sense out of nonsense, or what happens when a mother and son make sense out of nonsense?
Yeah, we sat with this for a whole week, and I'm going to go with what happens when a mother and son make sense out of nonsense.
Okay, so keep in the
Yeah.
Okay, mother and son. What happens when mother and son make sense out of nonsense? Because that's more specific, I think.
Yeah, how I like the specificity. I mean, if there's anybody out there listening to this and cares at all, I would love some input too. You can bounce some
No, I
ideas.
don't want your input.
Well, I would. So please feel free to join in. Noon Vibes. I know you can come in. YouTube live comments. Let's overturn her resistance to your comments and let's see what you have to say. Because they both sound good to me. They both work.
Okay, so yes, welcome everyone. And if you're listening on Noon Vibe, you are also welcome to join the stage and ask a question, make a comment. We are also live on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington YouTube channel, YouTube and Noon Vibe. Here we go. Now, before we start the show, we usually come up with a word of the day. And I have to say, you go first, Nathan.
Well, if you don't have a word, I can do double words. But my word, it's a word I like a lot. And I've heard the definition a couple times, but I keep forgetting it. And I would really love to put it in my vocabulary. The word is auspicious. 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 It's an adjective. It means indicating a good chance of success or something that is likely to turn out well, favorable, or promising. Use in a sentence. The strong engagement and positive feedback from our first show was an auspicious sign that it had the potential for long-term success.
Well, you came prepared.
I did get prepared today.
Wow. Well, I love the word auspicious. I will practice adding it to my vocabulary. I have a different take today. This word I hate, and I would like it to be eliminated from the English language. It is so annoying. Everybody and their mother, except for me as a mother, uses it. And it is just flooding the market. Can somebody please come up with a synonym for surreal? Oh, it feels so surreal. And I wrote that, let's see, it's strange, not seeming real, like a dream, driving through total darkness, slightly surreal experience. Some of the other words, let's see what else. Everybody uses it. A bizarre mix of elements, all often jarring and seeming nonsensical. Surreal, the move. What happened after you won? It was a surreal feeling. Get rid of that word. I'll use every other. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm on a
Rant.
rant, thank you. Can we please get rid of this right after the end of a sentence? Right, right, right. And you know, being a Toastmaster, I'm telling you, it's a blessing and a curse with the filler words. It just drives Rebecca crazy. Right?
Well, I think we're on to something, a new segment for our show, the filler word segment, because we could talk filler words. I try to work on my filler words with you. If I don't, I get dinged for the ums. I get dinged for the likes. If you didn't say it, I can feel it. And I don't want to be saying ums and likes and ands and uhs and also a double word is a filler word, which I notice I can do sometimes too.
Well, let's add more fillers, which is and that being said, actually, basically, all filler words. Judge Judy is with me on this. She hates basically, but backing up to something. I'm going to let you know that you've only used last week 2 times.
Wow. I want to let everyone know I am a Toastmaster as well. Really an ex-Toastmaster. It's been years since I've been to meetings.
You were kicked out.
I was kicked out for too many filler words. And they don't kick anybody out. No, I wasn't kicked out. Really great group. So I'm not actively practicing. I really like what it did to my communication and my storytelling while I was doing it. So no, I'm not actively in it, but having RLN as a mother to this day, I feel like I'm in it all the time. So I guess that's a good thing, question mark, right?
Take take the word guess out, and it is a good thing. And RLN is not your mother. Rebecca is your mother. RLN is the happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, oracle. She's that, but RLN is not your mother.
Well, RLN does tend to step on some toes and do some mothering here and there, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah, just to your benefit. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm just going to continue thanking you every single show for all of the work you've done.
Well, before we go on even further, and again, if you're listening on Noon Vibe, we are also live on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington. Before we go on, I want to hit my sponsor, my future sponsor, Voss Water, the wetter, better water. Come on, Voss, give me a call. Let's sponsor the show and keep it moving. Also, I want to introduce, I've been doing a lot of research, castor oil. Do you know anything about castor oil, Nathan?
A little bit, but no, not off the top of my head.
It's speaking about the top of your head. It's very good for hair growth.
You're really good.
Thank you. So organic castor oil is very good for the skin. I've been putting it on my eyeballs and my face every night. Do the research, but it's excellent. This is organic castor oil, and also always get it in the bottle, not plastic. Organic castor oil. Let's keep this, and like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Wow, for all of our talk last week about being a salesman and how, you know, we don't like that vibe salesman, you really are a great salesman. Someone should hire you to sell all this stuff. I would.
Well, no, thank you. That's not my thing. My thing is sharing with people how to experience more happiness on the journey. And when I say happiness, I'm talking about a personal energy of contentment. Okay. But let's get on to our show, because that's my show tomorrow at 9:00 Pacific Standard Time. Always live.
Always live.
Always live. Like and subscribe. So let's come up. Let me just share with you a topic really quick. I hear this: happiness is a choice. People have choices, but I contend, Nathan, that if you are programmed and not recognizing that you're programmed, and in my latest book,
Lord have mercy.
Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. In this book, I list 56 program behaviors on Amazon, by the way. And one of the behaviors is this thing, choices. And do people really have choices when they're programmed? Does a robot really have a choice if it's programmed? I want to ask you for your perspective, Nathan.
Well, it's interesting that you said robot, because I do chat with the robot, and it's called Chat GBT. It's all the rage right now. It's been around for a little bit, and it's advancing quickly. And I asked the robot itself, and I said, could you act like you were a higher version of yourself if I asked you to? And it said, no, I can't. I can only act as I am programmed to. Because it you can ask it really anything, personal details, anything, tidbits of information, ask it about myself, a social situation, but it will only do what it's programmed to do. It's not going to be mean. Even if I ask it to, it's just going to do what it's programmed. So my question back to you is, so what does it mean when a human is programmed in in your words? What does that mean?
Well, that means that whatever your beliefs
I think it's
are,
pretty insulting.
did you just insult me?
I didn't insult you. I said what you said is insulting
To you.
to me. That's right.
Well, get over it because it's never personal, which is another
And
which is another program behavior, taking anything personally. In other words, whatever your beliefs, your behavior, when we first popped out of the womb. By the way, the birth, your birth was very painful, but I'm talking about physically. Actually, let me throw in emotionally too.
well, don't worry. Mine was very emotionally painful too, and still is to this day. No offense.
No offense taken.
And this is our healing, ladies and gentlemen. This is how we heal.
Well, listen, and here we go, because I don't think there is anything to heal from. That's another program. Oh, I need to heal. There's nothing to be healed from. You are whole right in the moment. This healing. Heal from what? Either you are identify. Now, when you identify with a person as a person and a human, of course, a human needs a lot of healing. But when you identify as presence, awareness, all that there is there any healing needed? Question mark.
No, not at that entity. I don't think there is any healing. I think there's healing in this 3D world as humans, animals, living in a community, all of us.
Animals need healing.
Yeah, if they get bit in the back and they're bleeding, I think they could use some healing. That's just me. Can we get back to what you mean by when you say a program person? So what is that person doing? What is that person, what are they not doing? What are they thinking?
Great question. And just to be as thorough as possible, I am going to fly by a few program behaviors as quickly as possible. And there's different levels, 1, 2, and 3. So a program is a belief quest, just like worrying. Worrying is a program. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to worry. So that's a learned behavior. All programs are learned behavior. You know what else is a learned behavior? Blaming anyone or any circumstances for how you feel. Comparing yourself to someone else. Trying to control anyone else or anything outside of self, like your mother. Complaining, that's another program. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to complain. Thinking money can buy inner peace, taking anything personally. Fear, I think baby is only born with 2 fears: a fear of falling and a fear of loud noises. Needing to be right, being impatient. Now, here's a big one, and I get a lot of pushback on this. Believing that words have power. That's another program. Energy has power. Innately, words do not have power. I could go on and on and on, but because I've listed 56. So a program is something that you were not born with. And when you don't recognize that you're programmed, you're operating from a program belief, then you don't have choices.
Well, I have heard that too. A baby is only, there are only 2 truths, is afraid of loud noises and falling. Any other fears? There are no innate fears, they're learned fears. I would argue, because I am the voice of humanity, I am the voice of the commoner, I am the voice of every man, every woman, and every in between. And I would argue that those are the result of being human. And all of those emotions, all those fears, the worrying, the controlling, all that is just part of being human. And for me, how I get out of that is having a moment to pause and say, oh, okay, I'm doing that human thing again. I'm doing that thing that all humans do once in a while, complaining, worrying, focusing on the past, on the future, having a limited perspective, all those human things.
And I would push back and add a word to what you said, programmed human. Because when you are 6 months, 1 year, 2 years old, you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the present moment. So yes, you're acting, and instead of saying we, I remember some guy I was asking him if he worried. He said, "Oh yeah, everybody worries." Well, that's not a true statement. That is a programmed human statement. Yeah, if you're programmed, so humans are programmed, and it comes back to recognizing it or putting a spotlight on it. And is this a program? Because yeah, 98% don't hate me are programmed.
Well, the only thing you're missing in your statement, and we'll move on from this, is in the moment. That's the only part that's missing, is worrying in the moment, program in the moment. Because you've been caught being programmed in the moment, and then you have your tools and your willingness to get out of it and go to a next moment.
That's very true. And also back to the programming, judging other people. That's a program. I didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to judge. So yeah, I'm very aware of the programmed humans. And like I said, no offense to anybody out there, you 98 percenters, programmed. And listen, stop with the hate mail, the emails, the letters of contempt. I'm used to all of it.
Well, on that topic, moving on, there's a few things I want to discuss because we had this from last week. I don't want to leave people hanging for too long. We were talking about humor, and that's a part of our show. It's a part of our theme song. It's a part of our title. Making sense out of nonsense plus more is meant to be funny. If you didn't think it's funny, that's too bad. That is the intention. So humor has played a big part in our relationship and our spiritual growth, and being able to laugh at all of these behaviors and emotions and moments that aren't the prettiest. And so it's funny, but not so funny how sometimes I get a little, it's not time to be funny. I don't know if it's just not time or the perspective. And sometimes I'm ready to laugh, sometimes I'm not ready to laugh. But I just wanted to touch on when do you use humor? Is it ever too much for you? Are there times where you don't want to laugh? And then I have something I want to bring in from our past too after I hear your response.
Brilliant response.
Yes.
Well, now you're touching on another programmed behavior, two programmed behaviors, which is thinking something is serious, or thinking something is important, serious and important. And I contend, and I love this about me. Did I say that out loud? I love this about me. Oh, by the way, like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Noom, feel free to join the show. And we are live on YouTube, my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington, if you want to see our mugs. I practice being 5 seconds away of laughing at any moment. 5 seconds. And when I don't think something is funny, and I do get in those moments, well, this isn't funny. It's not funny. I already know that that's a program thought, and but that's Rebecca taking over. That's the humanness taking over, thinking that this isn't funny. But just like if you're a professional comedian, they find humor in everything, from life to death to people that are handicapped. All of it. Real comedians laugh at everything, and so I love that, being on the edge of humor, being on the edge of taking, or being able to practice taking everything lightly. And I can feel when Rebecca is taking something seriously. It's serious, but again, it's a program to take it seriously. So I love the 5 seconds away from laughter at any moment.
Well, I'm listening to you and really feeling, really feeling what it's like to be close to laughter, what it's like to be close to being light. It's just a relief. I can feel my body loosening up, my mind, letting go of wanting to control and be serious. And you brought up comedians, some of my favorite people, comedians, funny people, funny actors. That's among my favorite. And
Like your
I do,
mother.
it's true. It's this one of the reasons I keep coming back to you. You're funny. You're very funny. And okay, so you're a comedian. There is a place for that comedy. I think there's a place for comedians. Do I want a comedian?
Uh-oh.
Here we go. But
Uh-oh.
do I want a comedian performing open heart surgery on me? Do I want a comedian flying my 747? Do I want a comedian declaring, defending our country against an alien invasion and making jokes, making jokes during my surgery?
Too late. There are already aliens already on the planet. I'm
Yeah,
one
I'm
of.
talking to one. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
you said the same thing.
yeah. Thank you. I am one myself. Well, let's say this. What if the comedian is skilled? If they're highly skilled, can we be both? Can we be a combination of both?
Well, that is a highly skilled comedian. I think that's what we're doing is spirituality, funny, nonsense with some groundedness and truth and all of it. That's what
So
I'm trying to do.
practicing doing. And that's another word. I don't like the word try. I like the word practice. But and that's just me. Practice. Can I ask you a question though? So if you had the highest skilled brain surgeon performing a frontal lobotomy on you, but they're the highest, but they are laughing through the whole surgery, you'd have a problem with that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily. The question is the laughter distracting you from doing a precise, qualified job on this? That's really the question. That's really the deep, deep question of humor. Is it a distraction from something that's really going on? Are you just laughing about it not you, but is the laughter just a distraction and a cover up? And because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. I know I've laughed. There is a thing where we laugh when we're uncomfortable. I've heard that. We laugh when it's awkward, when it's really not funny, but it's a way to cope.
Okay, so now you're talking now, and another thing, one thing I don't like doing is hypotheticals. But now you touched on something, and there are people that I've known that laughing right at the laughter is used, but I'm not going to sit and judge for what, because I just don't have those credentials. But I get what you're saying. So we're talking about possibly two different things. But the thing with me is, can you imagine being able to go through all of these life challenges? I'm speaking for myself, all of these challenges, the ups and downs, medical conditions, legal condition, all of it, and still take everything light and still finding humor, finding some type of humor in all of it. And that's my practice. And that's what I for me, it's an ease to be able to laugh in the quote unquote what the world says the worst situations that are inappropriate. I got it when I was teaching the class of Truth About Happiness. One of the students, and then we'll move on. One of the students in my class said, "Well, it's not proper to laugh at a funeral. It's not proper. It's not right. It's not." It's political, there's something wrong with laughing at laughing at a funeral. And I took offense to that. And I said, I would like everybody laughing at my funeral. Ha ha ha, she's gone.
It's a good topic. I think there's some more deeper things to discover here, and I just want to bring in a little bit of mother-son history, just because you talked about it this week, and you told me that you watched Restriction Gun, which is a video that we made, I don't know, 20 years ago maybe, and it was making fun of us, making fun of you, and making fun of me, and growing up and being grounded for different things that kids get grounded for, not doing their work, staying out later than they're supposed to, whatever I got grounded for. And in our house, it was called restriction. And I always not only hated being on restriction, but I hated the word restriction because everyone else was getting grounded. And it was restriction for me. It's just a terrible word.
That is so funny, Nathan, because I hate the word grounded because everybody uses it. So I don't know where I came up with restriction, and I didn't like punishment. So I used the word restriction, and it was the best. And so Nathan did a video. You were in high school, either you were 15, 16 years old. And he did a video about me. He was making fun of me. And he called it the restriction gun. And he said, "Oh, here comes Nathan. Here comes Nathan. You want to do, because this is you."
Right, it's me. But no, it's I just wanted to bring, I don't need to do a whole thing. The video is a video. But yes, it was like she has a gun and she's firing off restrictions like they're BBs. And she's got 50 BBs, and it's just, this gets the restriction, that gets the restriction, that gets the restriction. So that was the joke, and we were laughing so hard doing that, and we've been laughing at that for years afterwards.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a little bit clearer because this and that is not it. So Nathan would say, "Well, Nathan didn't pick up the mail. Nathan, why didn't you pick up the mail? That's a restriction. Hey, Nathan, you didn't take out the trash. That's a restriction." And then, "Oh, here comes Nathan. He wants to stay out late tonight. Oh, I don't think so. He gets a restriction. Uh-oh, Nathan's asking me a question. He's asking me a question. He gets a restriction asking me a question." So let's just be clear, because it's funnier when you are more.
It is funny, right? And I can also feel the trauma bubbling up in me too, which is why I didn't want to get too specific. But this is an example of, it was challenging. Like, I think everybody growing up, with their parents are trying to parent, the kid's trying to be a kid, and there's challenges. So that was a way to, take what really felt really serious. I mean, I can't watch TV for 4 days. I can't play video games for 2 days. I mean, that was very, very serious at the time. So humor was a way for me to kind of work through that.
I love that. And then one of the things in the video you said, "But Mom, sometimes you make mistakes, Mom. Why don't you get restrictions?" And then you said, "'Cause I'm the mom, and what the mom says goes. So I'm gonna give you a restriction just for asking that question."
That's so funny. No, that's so true. Yeah, I felt, I really struggle with being young, with being a teenager, with having someone older than me, living with someone that had some kind of authority over me was just a big problem. So that.
By the way, I read on Facebook, it said, "When are we going to stop blaming our parents for all of our trauma?" And then I made a comment and I said, "Never."
Oh, that's funny. Well, I thought you were going to go in a different direction. Well, I'm starting today. I'm not going to blame my parents for any of my trauma starting today.
You can blame your father.
Get it? So I want to do a couple more segments. They're fun segments. Are you down for some little falderall?
Yes, falderall. Yes.
Okay, this is a short one because I want to do my plug too and practice. This segment is called "What's Natie Brewing?" And I don't know if you've noticed, but every single show, I have to have my tea. I have to have my something, my drink. I do this anytime I'm having a Zoom meeting, something. I just like to have some. So, what's Natie Brewing? I've been talking about this for the last 5 months, 6, 7 months. But this is called Super Coffee. It's by Lucid. It's a mushroom coffee. I really like it. I don't even buy teas anymore. I used to have all these tea bags. Now I just use this mushroom coffee. It's good for all the things that mushrooms are good for. And what I add, because I am a tea connoisseur, is ginger, clove, uh, little drops of oil of oregano, and the newest thing I'm adding is a little stick of rosemary.
Oh, that's fresh rosemary
Fresh
too.
roast, because I buy it for food and soups, and it just doesn't get used. So, and because you have to peel everything off, so I just stick the whole thing in, and it gives it a really nice flavor, and that's what Natie's brewing today.
That's a big stick of rosemary. I wouldn't even put
It
that
is.
much in a soup.
Well, I have all this extra rosemary. I don't know what to do with it, and I'll be damned if I throw any of it away. So it's a big stick in here.
Well, and I really urge you, think about it again. I've asked you multiple times, but can you think about moving back in with your mother? I would love for you to make tea for me every day.
That's really well. I love making tea for you. I've made tea for her when she's here and when we lived together in Oregon for a little while. I love making teas for you, but I won't move in with you to do that.
What?
You did hear me, and let's move on to another Falderalt segment, which I hope sticks on our show. I think it's going to be really fun. Can we go back to Facersize? And because I want to get back in, I not get back, I never really did it, but I want to do some Facersize, face yoga, musculature, face stretching. So if you're down for that, I would love to do one, or I can show you what I've been doing.
Yes, and if you're listening on Noon Vibe, feel free to quickly, I'll give you
Quickly.
5 seconds to go on YouTube. We're live on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington, because you do not want to miss out on Facersize. And in fact, Facersize, I've been a fitness instructor for 45 years plus, and there was a time for years I would teach a Facersize class. It was only, I think it was 30 minutes or 20 minutes. And in fact, there was a book written by a woman who's, I don't know if she started Facersize, but you think about it, and from the neck on up, who's exercising those muscles, all these muscles in the face? Yes, Facersize. I am a Facersize connoisseur. So let me show me what you have.
So all that I've been doing is I'll do lips together, I'll do to the side, lips together, and I'll also do eyes up. Eyes up here.
No, eyebrows up. Your eyes can't go up.
Well, the
Eyebrows.
big buggy eyes. Hmm. I'll do that. I'll hold it for 30 seconds, and I'll do the other side. Actually feels nice. The stretch on the cheeks, the eyes feel a little lifted. Yeah, so I've been practicing that one.
Okay, so we start Facersize start with the neck, and we
Oh,
go
neck.
E O.
Oh.
You feel the neck muscle?
I
E.
can feel it here. E.
Yeah, yes. E O.
Oh. I don't feel it as much there. E. I feel it on the E.
E O. Yeah, it relaxes when you go O.
Oh,
E
yeah.
O.
Oh, but I feel the cheeks stretch and the lips stretch.
Yes, E O. E O. And then, of course, this is for Noon Vibe, so we're only going to do a little bit because they can't
I
see. But
can't
if
see.
you want to see, you can go on YouTube, and then you do. So of course, you keep your face still, but your lips together, side to side. So try to get your lips all the way to your ear, one ear to the left ear, and then you get your lips all the way to the right ear. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Feels pretty good.
Yes. And then again, of course, with the eyebrows, up and down with the eyebrows, exercise the eyebrows, up, down, up, down. And, and speaking of laughing, Nathan, that Facersize class, all we did was laugh for 20 minutes.
I know, it sounds so fun. Working
Yes.
out the face and then laughing, making these crazy faces.
And then you do a pinch. You have to
Oh,
pinch
yeah,
you pinch to get the blood flowing. You pinch your ears, you pinch your forehead, you pinch your eyebrows. You pinch your nose.
Little massage. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really good. So I'm
not a massage, a pinch. Pinch.
well, it feels like a massage to me. I don't want to get pinched, but I would like to get massaged.
It's a gentle pinch.
It's a very surreal feeling, wouldn't you say?
It's very auspicious.
I have a question for you moving on to the next topic.
Yes.
Because you talk about identity a lot, and I don't identify with Rebecca, and I always with the identity. You're always calling me out with the identity. Nathan wouldn't say it's Nathan. Nathan, who's saying that? So my question is, how do you practice that? How do you practice recognizing the identity? What are you doing? Are you just thinking about it, or yeah, I just want to get a little bit behind the scenes around your identity work.
Well, I love that question. And I one of the things I shared is that, let me see if I can find it. I have all these notes except for the one that I want. Hold on. I have all these notes. Well, one of the things, especially in relationships, and this is going to fall under relationships with difficult people, and I'm using air quotes, difficult people, people that are challenging, but they're challenging to Rebecca. And when I know that there is some discomfort, there is some resistance, there is some judgment, there is a preference, a feeling of preference, there is a discontent with the other person or the circumstance. It could be a circumstance or another person. I know that I'm identifying with Rebecca, and Rebecca is a person, and you like to say human, human. So Rebecca, it's just Rebecca is never satisfied, and I'm saying satisfied. I'm talking about energetically satisfied all the time, and when I identify with higher, that word I'm using air quotes on the higher, but with presence, I'm either identifying with person, my personhood, or presence. And person, I can always feel it because there's always some kind of trouble. There's always there's just discontent is the word that I come up with that covers everything with a person, with what's happening. Oh, Rebecca doesn't like that. And Rebecca has so many different wants, desires, just pointing judgments. It just a slew of instant program behaviors. And it is instant. It's quick. It's so fast. It just takes over. And that's Rebecca. Nothing wrong with her. Nothing wrong with Rebecca, but I recognize when Rebecca is driving, holding onto the steering wheel, and I recognize when I've just observed her, witnessed her, watched her.
Yeah, I love that you said discontent, and I also love the word presence. I'm thinking about all the things that you listed for program behaviors, and it sounds like none of them are present. None of them are present moment. They're not in the moment. They're thinking. They're worrying about something. None of it sounds like presence. And I wanted to ask you that because it feels like a meditation to me, and how I one of the ways I would define a meditation is just focusing on something in the present moment. And when we're not, like you said, it happens really quick, and I don't, what choices do we really have? Do we choose to not? I don't think we chose it. It just happens. But I do think there is a choice to come back to the present moment. And I think there's all different kinds of ways of doing it. One way for me is just the breath. It's just, am I taking really short, narrow, quick breaths? Am I taking slower, longer breaths? Am I hearing what's going on? Because for me, it's the thoughts, they feel like sounds to me. I feel like I'm hearing the thoughts. So if I'm listening to what's actually in my environment as far as sounds, that helps me get out of that identity, that human identity. So yeah,
Would
it feels like a meditation to me, and I'm always curious how people get get recognized, like you said, be aware. Because I'm selfishly too. I'm always ready to hear some new tools of how to come back. Because sometimes the breath doesn't work for me, or sometimes I want to try something new. I want a new tool.
Yes. Well, the and you hit the nail right on the head. It is always from the past. The discontent is always triggers something from yesterday. I can't make a judgment without having yesterday involved. And one of the things, I had someone in my life that's grandfathered in, or apparently grandfathered in. What is it? 20? I don't know. How old are you? Which you're soon going to be 40. At least maybe 25 years grandfathered in. And I used to label difficult, but the truth is, the truth is I had more things to practice. And it is recognizing that Rebecca has a lot of issues and challenges with this particular person, but this was my practice. Listen to this one, Nathan. So I even wrote it down, all of the things I was going to go to. This is my cheat sheet. I was even going to leave it out on the counter and say, oh, hold on a second. If I heard something that Rebecca didn't, was automatically triggered by. And so one of the things is, this person likes to make comments. It's not a question, but I label it as fishing, not direct, but just kind of dancing around the topic to get an answer. So there's a lot of fishing, and me being quiet doesn't work. So why are you quiet? And so now this is one of my practices. I said, I don't have a comment, but I'm open to listening. In another practice, I don't have to have an opinion about everything. I also realize that my opinion isn't the opinion of others. And there will be other opinions that I don't necessarily agree with, but I accept, or I practice accepting. Silence is just a reflection. I'm embracing all comments. There's nothing, there's nothing new. Let's see. Oh, it's being prepared. And when I say practice, it's just being prepared. And I could use this for anybody. Uh, uh, yeah, because if I'm quiet, especially people that have known me for a long time, well, what's wrong? You're quiet. No, I just don't have a comment. I'm open to listening. I also realize that my opinion isn't the opinion of others. In other words, really, really neutralizing the whole environment.
I heard I heard so many good things in that, and I think this can be our teaser for next week, our challenging relationships, because it's a really big one, it's a good one, and I do, there is a benefit to that challenge. There's a benefit to being under intense pressure or heat, like that coal is turned to diamonds, and there's something about challenging relationships, and we talked about it on the phone a little bit about people that help us transcend, and that are our opportunities. I mean, the things you wrote down, I heard were about you, were true, and they were, like you said, applicable to any situation in any relationship, but you get to practice with this person or whoever you're practicing with. And for me, I want to, because someone who likes me, who's just the same as me, who talks like me, I communicate one way, they communicate exactly the same way, is really fun and light and easy, but it doesn't offer necessarily the same opportunities for transcendence as someone else. So for me, what works is a balance of different kinds of people that I'm chill with, cool with, fun, easy breezy, and then a little bit of the challenging relationships. Because for me, if it's too much of that, then now I'm going crazy, and it doesn't feel helpful for me. I don't feel like I'm transcending anything. I feel like I'm punishing myself. And one last thing about the meditation, there are some, because I do the sound meditation with the singing bowls, and most of the sounds are very pleasing and harmonious, but there are a couple sounds that are what we call in dissonance, that they're not harmonious, but that are necessary for the full sound meditation. It's supposed to be a little bit, I don't say irritating, but it's just supposed to be a little bit of a shock to the system.
A little jarring.
Yeah, a little jar, a little wave. We need those little waves, but the whole sound meditation can't be that, or else it's just gonna put us be stressful.
And you are, just to let everyone know, you are a sound teacher. You are an
Yes.
instructor.
Yeah, sound meditation teacher, sound bath. So, yeah, just a little bit of healthy stress, I think. I don't.
Well, let me also, because there was something else I didn't add. Not usually, but a lot of times in my past, I would, and I call it flying at a lower altitude. And I would fly at that lower altitude with this grandfathered in friend. And because I can do the lower altitude in a second, I can go down and just banter back and forth and get into exactly the same patterns as it was in the past. But no, it is about, for me, it is about practicing transcending who, I'm not going to say Rebecca, but practice transcending the illusion, the delusion that I am this person. But it is a practice. And this last visit was so good. The first time, and then because I there was planned 2 days, and then the second day didn't get a phone call, didn't get a text, didn't get a, well, I'm not going to do that. I mean, just left up in the air. But Rebecca was at a point where there was no agenda, even though it was planned to see someone for 2 days. They were visiting. The second day didn't happen, but there's the agenda, having an agenda. Now we can even get into relationships, Nathan. Having an agenda with anyone is always going, for me, is always going to crash into a wall. Having an agenda, having expectations. And this was the first time I didn't say, "Well, God, what a inconsiderate, what an asshole, didn't call, didn't
Well,
text."
I want to jump in because we got to wrap this puppy up here.
Oh.
But I want to jump in because I've never even heard you say that lower altitude, and I really like that. And we talk about transcending, and when I think of transcending, it goes higher, and the plane can't fly at a lower altitude the whole time. It's bumpy as hell, is turbulent, is dangerous. And there's a reason why. I always thought, why do planes have to fly so high? Why are they? Because it's a smoother ride. They transcend all the biomechanics. I don't know what's going on, but for a smoother ride, only low altitude, lifting off and landing. So I mean, I want to use that for myself and just wrap this show up. But I do want to leave them with a teaser of relationships, challenging relationships for next week.
And there's no challenge between our relationship, is there?
No, not anymore. We've transcended. Well, we're at a pretty high altitude. And it dips. Listen, I'm not saying there's not any turbulence, but it's a pretty smooth ride these days.
Not on my end. You're still catching up. As a matter of fact, for your birthday, I'm going to get you a bottle of catch up. Okay, with that, let's end the show.
Later, y'all.
Later.
Hey yo, it's time to go. Yeah. You know what it is. Get into it. Don't act like you don't already know the name. Let's go. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. What? You heard me. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. What?
Altitude.
I said you heard
Altitude.
me. Mother
Low
and
altitude.
son making
Low
sense
altitude.
out of nonsense. Plus more. What? I said you heard me. Mother and son making sense out of nonsense. Plus more. Now it's on. Now that's